Yo, 1075 WGCI. We are in the building. And anybody that knows me, Leon Rogers, the Destin Legend, knows that I love wrestling. Everything from the belts to the robes to the mask of the luchadors to the ring announcers, everything. And it gives me such great pleasure to bring the queen on, the queen, Zelina Vega. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Hey, listen, you got to give the queen her just due. I mean, you came into the WWE right off top, won the whole Queens tournament, and you've been holding it down ever since with the homeboys, making it happen. I want to talk to you about that. Being a person of color,
Mhm.
how important is it to have your nationality and where you're from and your culture represented in wrestling? Because growing up, when I was growing up with wrestlers, we saw like Bobo Brazil, and we saw some of the greats, Ron Simmons and of course Rocky Johnson. But like a lot of times, if you wanted to see the Hispanic wrestlers, you had to go check out the luchadors,
Mhm.
and that was something that was privy to a lot of times only Mexico. But now with TV and internet and everything, more of that is coming in and in mainstream. So how does that feel for you to be carrying that torch?
It's honestly, it's incredible to even think about it in that kind of capacity because for me, like I loved Rey Mysterio. As soon as I saw him and Eddie, Halloween Havoc 97, that was it for me. I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do this. Like, you know what I mean? And it especially for Ray, being of shorter stature, I was like, wow, if he can do it and he can be champion, why can't I? So it became something that was not just for me. And again, also I look at Carlito, being Puerto Rican, and I also feel like there's people that when I think, oh, Hispanic wrestlers, it's only Mexico. But
Right.
it's not just Mexico, it's Puerto Rico, it's Dominican Republic, like it's there's so many, the Cuban, there's so many different blends of us. And I think what's cool about WWE is that you have just such a beautiful melting pot of cultures that are celebrated. And it's cool to be a part of that. And hopefully if we do end up going to Puerto Rico, it would be the first time for me to perform there with WWE. So I'd be able to bring all my crazy Puerto Rican family with me, and it'd be really cool. So
Ah, vaya boricua. Tú haces, mami. Hey, so look,
yes, let's go.
now I want to talk about something else. The women's movement in the WWE. I mean, it has come so far where you guys are like headlining WrestleManias and headlining SummerSlams. Um, Talk about being a lady in the WWE, how tough you have to be, and how hard is it? I've heard the fellas say, the training and stuff is hard. But how hard is it, like from the women's standpoint? Because it's a boys' sport, and you
Mhm.
guys have to fight and push your way through it. So how have you dealt with that, and what do you do as far as encouraging other young women, if this is a goal of theirs to become a professional wrestler? How do you get that message out to them?
Well, it's nice that nowadays I have people in NXT. There's this one girl, Jakara. She's absolutely beautiful, super talented, and
Yes.
she's so respectful and has always been like, hey, do you have any advice, or can you watch this match of mine? Or she recently just asked me about promos because she's like, when I think promos, I think I think Paul Heyman, and I just, how do I get better at mine? And just the fact that it's now reversed where people are asking me for advice, it's mind blowing and kind of crazy, but it's so important to, I think, support each other on that journey because obviously nowadays it's a little bit easier. Some people can go from being models or whatever they did prior into the performance center and then onto the main stage, but it wasn't like that for someone like me. I'm from Queens, New York, so for me I had to find any kind of way to get myself in, and whether that meant taking a train into the city and then taking a bus from there all the way to North Carolina, 9 hours by myself to go train with the Hardys, like that's what I did. Make sure
Yeah.
I paid my dues to get to where I needed to be. And when I got to WWE, it's like work to get in, work to stay in, and then work to also be taken seriously. When people saw me and Andrade together, it was like, oh, is she his girlfriend? It's like, no, she was just as important as he was.
Right.
So I think it's just standing your ground and showing people that it doesn't matter, female, male, you're going to hold your own. And, they've given us the opportunity to show that. And obviously, winning the first ever Queen of the Ring, Queen's Crown tournament, it was just, I still, to me, when I hear it out loud, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that I'm in the history books of something that I've wanted since I was 4 years old. It's incredible.
And you know, to piggyback on what you said, like even when you come out with Phantasmo Delegado, right? It kind of seems like you're the boss at times, you know,
Mhm.
like you're not just a member of the crew, like they roll how Zelina rolls. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And is that kind of like the message you're trying to get out? Like we're not just a part of the thing. We're actually pushing forward the movement.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest misconception now, which I hear, and I understand why people are upset, is some people are like, well, she went from being queen of the ring and champions to being a manager again. Why did, but I'm not. And I think it's more than just, oh, she's just the wrestler. She's just the manager. She's just this. I'm one of the few people in WWE, male or female, that can do wrestling, managing, commentator, any role you put me in at a 10. If you put any other girl in that situation, don't think they can do it like me. So
Mm.
when it comes down to it, I'm not a manager managing wrestlers. I'm a wrestler within a group of wrestlers. And we're trying to hit that top spot. Because yes, the bloodline is holding that down right now. And
Yeah,
that's, you know,
strong.
but at the same time, they haven't been here long enough, or at least on SmackDown long enough to be at that spot. And that's where I come in. I've been there, it's like 5, 6 years now. So it's easier for me to guide them along the way. So smart on their part, but also I see the talent in them. So smart on my part because I only stick with stars. So
Now you said you from Queens. We know Queens get the money. So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I
Okay.
don't know.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. LL, 50 Cent, or Nas.
Oh my
Pick
God,
one.
why would
You
you
gotta
do
pick
that?
one. You gotta pick one.
Oh my God, they're so good for just so many different reasons. And oh, Uh, I'm gonna have to say Nas though. I love Nas so
Yeah.
much.
Whose
I love him
world
so
is this?
much.
So growing up in Queens, New York, that just doesn't seem like an area where you're like, hey, you know what? I want to be a professional wrestler. When did that switch flick on? Yeah, I know you said when you saw 97, when you saw Rey Mysterio, and
Hmm.
but like when did it really like I always knew I liked wrestling from the beginning, like as the only child doing suplexes on my pillows and stuff. But I always wanted to be an announcer or a writer
Hmm.
for wrestling. But how did you just, like fall into that? Did you fall into that or did you seek that out?
Oh my gosh. So my cousin is Amazing Red, and if for anybody who is from the even just people, if you watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, any wrestling company in the world, guarantee you'll see at least 10 of Amazing Red's moves on people because he's one of the innovators of this business and he doesn't get enough credit for it. But if you watch him in anything that he's done on, whether it's ROH or TNA, anything that he's done, he's always excelled and been so different. And I've been lucky to be able to watch his career, obviously as a family member, but as a fan as well. So, but my dad, like my whole family was big wrestling fans. Like we used to go to Madison Square Garden with the big "Just Bring It" signs. Like we had at least like because it was me, my cousins, my uncles, everybody, and we all had different letters for "Just Bring It" all across Madison Square Garden. So we were crazy, but my dad, he was a amateur wrestler in high school, and a wrestler. Like it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I really want to do it, but balancing three jobs and kids and a wife, he never got the chance to do that. But it was his dream too. So I remember when I was like 5 or 6 saying, "Oh, Dad, I'm gonna be the wrestler of the family. Like I'm gonna do it." And he was like, "Okay, cool," But my mom was always like, "Oh no, she's gonna get hurt." Like, But it just became something that I said it out loud, and I decided to do it for me and for him.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Yo, so let's talk about the bumps. So my coworkers, they hate on me because I told them that I once competed in a wrestling match. It was like an independent company wrestling match, and I was like the celebrity host. And the guys came out picking on me, and then my man Johnny came out, and we turned the tide and got the win. And they didn't believe me till I showed them the video, and they was like, "Oh, they're throwing you on the mat." I was like, "Nah, man, that shit hurt."
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I try to tell everybody, man, like I'll give you $1,000 if you take 10 bumps. I tell all my tough guys, take
Mhm.
10 bumps and give me 10 ropes going back and forth across the ropes, I'll give you $1,000. Can you expound on that? How tough and thick-skinned you have to be, not only mentally, but physically, man, because the body can be broken in many ways in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's such a good point because, you know, wrestling, especially the business, is a lot about respect. And when you go in there, you shake everybody's hand. You make sure you respect everybody. It doesn't matter if they're a janitor, a lighting guy, the referees, to Vince McMahon. It's you respect everybody. And when it came to getting in the ring, they only want people who love it. They're gonna make you bump so hard you're gonna hate it, and you'll either give up or you'll stick with it because you love it.
Yeah.
So I remember training to the point of like just having welts on my back and on my arms and just like, are you going to give up? Are you going to give up? And I fought through every single training session, every single opportunity. So it's not just, again, I always say work to get in, work to stay in.
Okay.
And, there's a point to working to get into where you're taking these bumps and training and you're working to get to that point, but then it's work to stay in because people don't realize it's not just Raw or SmackDown or NXT tapings. It's not just that. You also have live events. You also have appearances. You're traveling all the
Oh,
time. Like
yes.
these bags don't come naturally. Like it was at least 3 hours of sleep that brought those
Right.
on. So,
Yeah.
it's tough mentally, it's tough physically, but if you love it, you're just going to, take the punches to the face and happily, but the bumps are just they are brutal. And I always say that too. I'm like, it's not a trampoline. It is not
Yes.
a soft, it's not. And if you were to take one bump, you would instantly realize number one, you can't breathe because you don't understand like the tucking of the chin and exhaling at the same time. It's like conflicting ideas. But when you take the first one and you're like, ugh, it's because it sucks. And it's
Yeah.
every single time. So hey, listen, I'll double that. If they try to go, I'll double it because from the Twitter trolls to all those people who are like, oh, she sucks or this person sucks but they're writing it from their mom's basement or whatever. Try it, please try
Yeah.
it. I would love for you to try it. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, I was sore 2 days after that. It was terrible. Like I can't think of any workout that I've ever had in any
Mm-hmm.
type of sport that felt like that. I got a couple more questions for you. I'm gonna let you go, but I got to talk about the WWE family, like the guys and the girls. You guys seem like you all have a lot of fun together. Like the locker room is always moving and shaking and people coming and
Mm-hmm.
going. Who is the person in the SmackDown locker room that when you see them, you just start laughing because you know they're finna do some silly shit?
Liv Morgan.
Really?
Yes. 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 And it's funny because her and I have had so many, like, we've had so many times where we're against each other in the ring, right? But even when we are against each other, there's still like this piece of Thea that still is like, I gotta make her laugh somehow. And then she'll try to outdo me. And then it becomes this whole thing where you're just having fun in there with your friend. And it's funny because when you see her, how Liv is in the morning is how Liv is in the afternoon. In the night, she's got energy. I don't know how, but it's always like, "Hey, bro, what's up, bro? How are you, bro?" Like it's so like energetic, and it makes you smile. And her voice is just so cute, and you can't get over it. But on SmackDown for sure, it's Liv, and on Raw, it's Rhea Ripley. She's one of my favorite people in the world.
Rhea
So
Ripley.
yeah.
Really? Now
Mm-hmm.
what about who's somebody that like when they come in and maybe they don't mean no harm, but you just get out their way. Like a lot of wrestlers back in the day said, like Haku was the nicest guy in the world, but you ain't want no smoke. You ain't want no
Oh.
problems with Buddy.
Ooh, people say that about me. That's so messed up. Oh my god, because Raquel was just saying that about me, and it's funny because we say like she's so big, and you think, oh, you don't want to mess with her. She's like, but I'm scared of her. Like there's just something that she's.
Right.
But
Right.
I think Bianca
Really?
Belair, because she's the sweetest person. She's the sweetest girl, but I've seen her mad too. And the second that switch happens, you want nowhere part of that. You were like stay clear of that like lane completely because whoever she's no, I wouldn't want any part of that. So yeah, Bianca for sure. And she'd whoop your ass. Like if you see like she's strong as hell. So like no, I've been to the gym with her. No, absolutely not. I'm like, you win.
SmackDown is coming to Chicago. I cannot wait. Tell the people what can they expect from you and your team at SmackDown this Friday.
I mean, besides the win, which is the obvious thing to say, right? But
The W.
but I just for me, I love entertaining and I love finding ways to make it fun. And the fact that there's going to be two other people that I can mix it up in there with, being Valhalla and BFAB.
Right.
I don't know, maybe you might see a little something from us too. So there's always cool things when you have these groups and factions where you get to mix it up with different people at different times. And now where you have three completely different groups, it's cool to see how we all blend and what you're gonna expect from people. So I mean it's kind of a surprise, but I'd say of course the win.
Okay, so SmackDown is going down. Do you guys hate it sometimes that you have to leave right out of a city and don't get to enjoy the city nightlife or something? Or is that's
Yeah.
okay? Like after match, you could just
It
go night
depends. Like
night.
if I especially when I was traveling with my husband, like we used to try to stay an extra day or before or after so we can at least take it in because we got so used to okay go to the next city, go to the next town, go to the next thing, then go to the airport, then sleep for 2 hours, then go to the next thing or drive 8 hours. Like we had to go okay, we got to slow down, like we're killing it but we got to slow down. So we made it a point to do that, but it's weird. You get on this like grind and you just like are hungry for the next thing and for the next thing and how am I going to make, because you already know like okay I'm going to have this match on Friday or this thing on Saturday. With what am I going to do here? So your brain is just constantly going. And I think to your point before, not only is it hard on you physically, but I can't sleep because my brain's just like, okay, what if I tried this? What if I did? You know what I mean? So it's you're constantly because you're obsessed with it. You eat, sleep, you salivate over it. So it's cool to say that you're living that kind of a dream. So I look forward to every Friday, and this one won't be any different, but it also will because of the match stipulation. So
All right, Zelina, if you wanted to give a Christmas wish out there to everybody in the world that's listening and for all those that listen to us on WGCI, what would your Christmas wish to everybody be?
oh, no one's ever asked me that before. I think really, and this sounds silly, but I feel like there's so much hate in this world right now, and it's only magnified over the past few years. I feel like if everybody just had more understanding for each other and just more love and you know what I mean, more love and understanding for a person, and just not taking for granted human interaction, because we all saw how it was during COVID when you couldn't like be next to people, and man, I will say once we got back and we got to have that human interaction again with the fans, it was like the biggest hug you could have gotten from a wave of people. So it's just not taking people for granted because life is short, so it's just more love, more and more love.
There it is from the queen herself, Zelina Vega. Hey, good luck to you Friday. I will definitely be in the building. And you see some crazed guy screaming on the side, holding this Ric Flair belt. That will be me. So, yeah, that's the dude that, and I trust me, I'll try to make everybody break character. I swear to God. So you
You
might
got a
hear
Naruto run then. That's how I gotta see you. I'll find you. You got a Naruto run and I'll see
it.
it.
Hey, thank you for stopping by and hanging with us here at WGC. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.